Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Doyle, and this is the Rare Degree Table where I love prepping and running big, crunchy, complex TTRPGs like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. I'm the kind of nerd that loves leafing through big books filled with concepts and ideas to incorporate into my games. I even wrote one, and I'm working on another one. More on that later. Diana of the Rose called me a DM main recently, and she was spot on. Takes one to know one. Check out our conversation if you haven't already, by the way. But once in a while, I do actually get to be a player, and I always love tinkering with character creation, looking at how different abilities and options kind of synergize to fit my concept and make my PC badass. But today, I want to talk about how useful, instructive, and just how much frickin' fun it can be to strip everything away and get down to basics. If you have only ever played games that come in multiple textbook-sized volumes, imagining a fully functional TTRPG that can fit on a single sheet of paper can seem pretty impossible until you experience it, which I have multiple times, and I do it again tomorrow, because not only did I have a blast each time, I legitimately feel that those games taught me lessons that make me a better DM and a better player that I can apply to my regular D&D campaigns. Shout out to the One Page One Shot Club, who I've played multiple games with over the last few months. The last time we got together, I ran Everyone is Seagulls, which was madness and hilarious, and you can watch it right here. But before you dive into an actual play, which I find is a great way to get to know a game or even a genre of games, right here, right now, I am dropping 10 reasons you should grab a one-page RPG and run it for your friends and family tonight, along with a bunch of example games for your consideration. We're going to go through these 10 reasons fast because one-page RPGs are incredibly quick to learn and easy to play. See? That's already your first one done. You're not reading a chapter of a book. You're not spending an hour of math to create a character. You're not learning how to use a new piece of software. It's literally a single piece of paper. And often there's some pictures on there too, so it's not even all text. Number 2 builds on number 1, and it's that the ease of use makes these games very approachable for new players. Do you know somebody who might enjoy D&D, but whenever you start to explain it, their eyes glaze over right around the point where you get to the difference between ability score modifiers and the proficiency bonus? Well, with a one-page RPG, you can skip all of that and just get to the fun part so you can get them hooked on this hobby. Let's say you grab Lasers and Feelings, a sci-fi favorite of mine. Hey, new player, have you ever seen an episode of Star Trek or a Star Wars movies? Cool. That's what this is like. Do you want to be a hotshot pilot or an android engineer or maybe like an alien doctor? Great, you have one stat, and it's a number between 2 and 5. We're only using D6s, so don't even worry about getting contaminated by weird nerd energy from using a bunch of other polyhedral dice you've never even seen before. A couple fun-filled hours later, when the game comes to a satisfying, potentially poignant, and/or hilarious conclusion, and it's going to be a lot easier to say something like, hey, the same guy who created this game, Lasers and Feelings, John Harper, made another game called Blades in the Dark. I'm going to be starting a campaign for that soon. Would you be interested? And that's kind of our number 3 here. These one-pagers are perfect for one-shots, and we could do a whole other top 10 list on why one-shots are great. But I hear from a lot of Dungeon Masters out there that they struggle with D&D one-shots bleeding into more than one session, which kind of defeats the purpose, right? When I ran Nice Marines by Grant Howitt for the One Page One Shot Club, I had an incredible time. We'd gotten to know these characters really well. They all had accomplished their specific goals, and the story felt complete. Not only that, but the world I'd built was in rubble after their high-powered hijinks. So I wrapped things up, and then I looked at the clock and realized we had compressed so much game into like a 90-minute package. Building on those first 3 reasons, number 4 is that these games can be super easy to run with little to zero preparation. Sometimes not everyone can make it to game night, or maybe there are some extra people hanging out with us, or we just want to run something right now for whatever reason. Maybe life got in the way and we didn't have prep time this week and we don't want to shortchange our main campaign, but we also don't want to cancel game night. A one-pager can be just the thing. Now, I will say that doesn't mean a one-page is the best way to start running games. Great for first-time players, but a first-time GM might be a little overwhelmed without the supporting structure of a more rigorous rule set. When we played Elf with the 10-page backstory, GM Jim just plopped us in the tavern and pointed us at the first little goblin cave of Lost Mine of Phandelver. Pretty simple on the prep side, but you really have to be ready to adapt on the fly to the zaniness that's coming out at the table. As you might have picked up from the name, the premise of Elf with a 10-page backstory is to make the most ridiculously edgy, dramatic character you can, and oh boy did we deliver. We had a great time, but to this day, Jim claims it's one of the hardest sessions he's ever ran, and he might just be doing a bit, because here's the fifth reason one-pagers are awesome and you should try them. An idea or a joke that would be way too much for a D&D campaign can really shine as the central theme of a one-pager. Like in Goat Crashers, also by Grant Howitt, we played literal goats who snuck into a celebrity-filled Hollywood shindig. Grant Howitt is kind of the king of these one-page RPGs, and a bunch of them are animal-themed. In Honey Heist, you are bears plotting the crime of the century while balancing your criminal and animal sides. In Crash Pandas, you play raccoons in the world of illegal street racing in LA. In The Witch is Dead, you are cute little familiars trying to avenge the death of the kindly old woman who taught you a little bit of magic before a witch hunter fucking murdered her. And that's given us reasons 6, 7, and 8 right there. These games can be so incredibly creative and wildly customizable and just expand your horizons of what TTRPGs can do. Number 9 is my favorite, and what I didn't realize until I played or ran a few of these games and read through a bunch of others, is that by stripping away all of the mechanics and most of our ingrained D&D instincts, the emphasis of the game shifts to telling a fun story together and collaborating to create an interesting narrative. The mental muscles we use to adapt and improvise at the table grow stronger through running these one-pagers, but we also get down to the core of the game and kind of see through to the source code. So as we return to more complex systems, we can still see that vibrant heart of what's most important shining through. And that brings us to reason number 10 to check out a one-page TTRPG. They are great to change things up. We can experiment with new ideas and new genres with very little investment of time, effort, or money. That should be its own reason, really. Most of these are free or pay what you want. You can screen cap the PDF and carry it around as an image on your phone and be ready to play wherever you go. But the act of experimenting and trying something new, whatever game you land on, is maybe the most valuable part in and of itself. So many tables are stuck using one system all the time, mostly due to inertia or this false idea that a new game is going to be just as hard to pick up as first learning D&D or Pathfinder was. Simply grabbing a one-pager can be a super low-stake change of pace that can open up a group's minds about trying new types of games and expand the choice of system from whatever the current version of the thing they've always played is to the vast universe of amazing games out there. There's nothing saying you can't return to the games you already like again and again. I'm just saying you might not have even heard of your favorite game yet. If you're even a little bit intrigued, I mentioned a bunch of one-page RPGs in this one, and I'm linking them down below. I encourage folks to share more down in the comments. One we played that I didn't mention yet is Sexy Battle Wizards, where you have 3 stats: Sexy, Battle, and Wizard. I'm still kind of buzzing from You Are Seagulls. You can check out that madness here. Until next time, be kind, have fun. Spread your wings like a seagull.